Okay.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon at the 7th edition of Compliance 1010. We had a very exciting conversation talking about the pharmaceutical industry and how it's leading the transformation. This afternoon, we have Manish sir here with us to take some live questions. Jyoti, who heads our delivery, has been tracking all your questions while the session was going on. And Jyoti will read out the questions for Manish sir, and we hope for the responses. If you have any other questions for other panels, we are happy to take them and get your responses offline. Thank you, and over to you, Jyoti.
Yeah. So the first question goes as, with the FDA and other regulators broadening the scope of compliance requirements, how crucial is it for pharma companies to realign their quality and compliance structure to conform to the constantly evolving regulatory guidelines?
Yeah. See, this entire concept of quality and compliance fundamentally is a journey. Okay, so there's no end goal, or there's no one permanent goal. It's a moving target as the countries evolve and as the markets evolve and as the science evolves. The regulatory framework across the world is tightening, including in the pharmaceutical sector, because it's certainly a more regulated sector. And that has its implications in terms of way the businesses are conducted or the compliance structures are addressed or created. Now, this includes both practices in India and also the way we are manufacturing for global markets. So you will see that this is a journey that we have embarked on. India is very well placed. While we as Indian companies or we as Indian audience tend to notice what is happening in India, but we actually do not realize that these regulatory actions are common across the industry around the world. So FDA has more FDA actions against Western companies in their facilities outside of India. So this is a journey, as I keep saying. We are all addressing it. I think every company is ahead of the curve. What started as a spate of FDA observations a couple of years back has already gone down to a trickle. Every company has been able to resolve it, and I think we'll always be on top of it as we go along.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question reads as, with the US FDA red flagging some of India's homegrown measures for lapses at their facilities, what, according to you, could be the game changer for the Indian pharmaceutical industry?
Yeah. So again, partly taking from my previous response, this entire thing is a journey, as I've been saying. Indian companies have got their act together. At one point of time, clearly, we kind of took our eyes off as far as compliance was concerned. And it was for nothing else because we were chasing growth at any cost. I mean, certainly the industry was faced with enormous growth challenges. Talent was limited, and therefore there was a run for talent. And somewhere in this chasing of growth, companies took their eyes off the quality systems, which was also a evolving environment. I mean, the expectations were getting tougher, and companies did not keep pace with those changes. That is now a matter of past. Every Indian company has upped their ante, and they have now moved ahead of the requirements. And clearly, I don't see this to be a challenge going forward. All of us are geared up for it. For us, it's a matter of survival. I mean, it's not that we are going to keep pace with it. We have to stay ahead of the curve. And that's the way I look as the industry responding to it.
Thank you, sir. There's one more question which says, with the Indian government's aspirational goal to transform the country into a world-class $100 billion biomanufacturing hub by 2024, what could be the challenges that need to be addressed?
Yeah. So I think fundamentally what we have to move away is from some kind of a control-driven environment wherein when we are manufacturing products, we have to take permission for each of the products. Uh, Very irrelevant in the pharmaceutical segment, because every day new products are being discovered or being developed. So the government should control the intent. So what kind of effluent we generate, or how much effluent we generate, or how do we deal with the effluent, is what they should be controlling, rather than kind of controlling how much we produce, what we produce, and what not. So fundamentally, if government collaborates with the industry, especially the pharmaceutical sector, I think we are not seeking too many changes. So while a lot of people expect R&D benefits and tax rates and all, I'm not a believer in that. My only uh, expectation from the government is see us as partners. We have a great edge in the global pharmaceutical industry. We can be very important player. We are already the third largest manufacturer, but in value terms we are way down at 13th. This gap can shrink dramatically as we get into the biomanufacturing, and this is something, if we can just help, or help us prosper by not controlling everything and believing in us that we are doing the right things, then I think the battle is won.
If I may, over here, I have a corollary question for you, sir.
Yes.
So, you spoke about building the value chain and its early days. India has seen several industries go through that cycle. IT being one of them, services. Our Prime Minister very recently spoke about artificial intelligence being a sunrise area for us. I mean, clearly every industry has to go through the curve. Is there an opportunity to create a jump shift, skip a cycle, and directly move to the next level? If there is such an opportunity, what is it that could be, and what would it take to leverage that opportunity?
Yeah, I think traditionally India has been strong in IT and has been strong in pharmaceutical, but we have not combined the two in a way. And if we can leverage our combined strength, because IT or intelligence has a lot of role to play in new drug discovery and so many other things. So if we can combine the two, and somewhere if the IT companies or the big IT companies of India and the big pharmaceutical companies of India can get together and find a new domain which combines the respective strengths, I think we will be skipping one level, as far as, I mean, from being a pure manufacturing hub or from being a kind of a BPO enterprise. I think we will become a very value added industry going forward. And that, in my view, would be that skipping that one step in a way for creating a valuable organization.
Absolutely, well put. Thank you. Jyoti, back to you.
Yes, JD, there was a question related to biosimilars, sir. It says that, is there not a difference between biosimilars and uncompared biologics? Biologics which have not strictly followed the guidelines on similar biologics.
Yeah, so there is a clear difference, I think. See, where does this concept of biosimilar and or biology is far more science vis-a-vis pharmaceutical science in a way, because you're dealing with biosimilars, uh, because of the original product has gone through significant clinical trials. And when you develop a biosimilar, the fundamental is it is exactly the same in terms of characterization, which means the impact of the same are very well understood because of the historical clinical trials undertaken on the originator drug. Now, so-called similars, which are, I don't recollect the term you use, but the uncontrolled.
Unsimilar biologics.
Uncompared
biologics.
Which may be largely similar, uncompared biologics. So They're basically, it may be largely similar, but may not be exactly similar. And some of these side effects of these biological changes emerge over years. So I'll give biological drugs in a way, which historically it used to be animal insulin which was used, and it was considered a wonder drug in those years. So either there was a bovine insulin or a porcine insulin, and it was considered almost as good as the insulin that was produced in body. But moment human insulin was discovered, then all the previous insulins were eventually discarded, because they were fairly similar but in the body. So I mean, for me, this is again a progression of science. Biosimilar is requires far more work compared to the uncontrolled drugs that you are referring to, who may serve reasonable purpose, but may also create long-term side effects, which cannot be properly understood at this point of time. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I guess those were the questions we had. Jyoti, do we have any more questions?
No, Jerry, they were a similar nature, so we just picked up some important ones from there.
Certainly. Manisha, thank you so much for taking the questions from our audience. We have received very good feedback about the session, and I'm sure the audience learned more through this Q&A. Any closing comments before we let you go for the day and enjoy the rest of the event?
No, I think it has been a pleasure to be attending this seminar or conference. Really learned a lot, different perspectives that came out of it. I believe I brought in the pharmaceutical perspective, and then there were gentlemen coming from the legal side and also from the biosimilar side. So there were different perspectives that came on the table. I personally, I learned a lot. So I'm sure it must be true for the attendees too, but I personally took a lot away. I've done very or comparatively less business in India, but handled more businesses outside India. And some of the challenges which my co-panelists shared in terms of doing businesses in India were quite revealing or learning for me. So really proud to be, or thank for letting me attend this event, and really look forward to continued association.
Thank you so much. And I hope you will find the opportunity to check out some of the other interesting sessions that are coming up. We've got a very power-packed day. Once again, thank you so much.